Hello, my name is Ryan Merritt, and I am the Director of Career and Technical Education for the Texas Education Agency. I'm happy that you have taken the time to watch the webinar to learn more about the new Texas statewide programs of study and get some more information about the public comment period. The Texas Education Agency requests public comment on proposed statewide career and technical education course sequences, also referred to as programs of study. We encourage feedback from all CTE stakeholders, including district and campus level administrators, CTE coordinators and teachers, and counselors. We also encourage participation from business and industry experts. The new programs of study will go into effect for the 2020-2021 school year and will allow Texas to meet the federal program approval requirements within the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act, also known as Perkins 5. The information contained in this webinar is intended to assist stakeholders with viewing and understanding the proposed statewide programs of study and how to participate in the public comment process. During the webinar, we will go over the information that you see on this slide. You will learn about the importance of programs of study and the benefits of aligning course sequences to in-demand and high-wage occupations in order to prepare students for success in their chosen career field. You will also learn about the process conducted to identify in-demand and high-wage occupations in Texas and how the CTE course sequencing methodology backwards mapped occupations from job knowledge and skills through post-secondary preparation and secondary education. The webinar will end with the program of study timeline for implementation. The Career and Technical Education team here at TEA has engaged members of the workforce, secondary education, and higher education to advise on the development of programs of study to include course sequencing, industry-based certifications, and work-based opportunities to ensure that students are prepared for in-demand, high-skill, and high-wage careers in Texas. Looking at this slide, you can see the definition of a program of study. You also will see an image of the frameworks of an example program of study. In this example, you see that animal science is listed within the agriculture, food, and natural resource career cluster area. And you can also see the different courses that are recommended from level 1, 2, 3, and 4. Later on in the presentation, I will discuss how there's flexibility for districts to move courses from one level to another. Moving on to this slide, you can see the importance of braiding industry and education in order to reduce the skills gap that exists not only here in Texas, but across the country. Programs of study are intended to align secondary and post-secondary educational goals with Texas's diverse industry needs and opportunities. Strengthening the connections between education and industry through career and technical education will help to deliver a skilled talent pool to fill the needs of the labor market while providing great opportunities for the students of Texas. As we move on to the next slide, you can see that there are 6 elements that appear on the slide, and these 6 elements are defined in Perkins 5 as what states need to do in order to develop high-quality programs of study. It's important for each course sequence to include both academic and technical courses that begin at the introductory level, and then as students progress from year to year, they take courses that increase in content specificity. So while they start off maybe their freshman year with courses that introduce them to the career field, as they progress throughout their high school experience, they'll learn more job-specific skills as they get to the advanced level coursework. You'll also see that Perkins 5 reinforces the idea of the importance of aligning our programs of study to the needs of the state and regional labor market. A lot of work has been done in this initiative to ensure that we've identified occupations that are both in demand and high wage. We also wanted to ensure that we were giving students multiple opportunities for once they left high school. We didn't want to simply prepare students for one particular occupation, but to ensure that students had the opportunity to both exit the education pipeline, perhaps after high school, after obtaining an industry-based certification, and enter the workforce, but giving them the opportunity to go back to school, to re-enter the education pipeline, to continue to progress their career by obtaining more education. So perhaps that same student that exited after a certification may want to go back to get an associate degree to advance their career, and also maybe pursue a bachelor's degree after that. Ultimately, the programs of study goal is so that students can earn a recognized post-secondary credential while they're in high school, or advance down that road where they're getting close to obtain such a credential. This slide highlights the benefits of programs of study. So programs of study benefits high school students by providing an opportunity to study their career field of interest in depth so that they are better prepared for post-secondary education. It also ensures that they're studying a particular career field where there's a lot of opportunities in the economy for when they decide to leave the education pipeline. The new statewide programs of study will allow the coding of CTE concentrators to be completed automatically, since Perkins 5 defines CTE concentrators based upon the completion of 2 courses within a defined program of study. And so we are using the completion of 2 courses for at least 2 credits. So for an example, a student could complete 2 one-credit courses within a program of study to meet the definition of a concentrator, or they could complete a 1-credit course and then 2 half-credit courses to meet the definition of a CTE concentrator. Changes to the collection and reporting of CTE concentrators and completers will allow Texas to greatly improve the CTE data collection and reporting system to meet all the requirements of Perkins 5 and allow us to better measure program quality. Another benefit of this initiative involves future revisions to the career and technical education TEKS. Once the CTE course sequences are finalized, a gap analysis between the CTE course standards and the job skills associated with the groupings of occupations making up a program of study will be conducted. This gap analysis will identify course standards that are misaligned to job skills that have been recommended by industry experts. And so our plan here is to work with the State Board of Education to address any gaps that we see between our core standards and the job skills needed for a student to be successful in certain occupations. And so we want to make recommendations to the State Board on how we can best address these gap areas. Finally, teacher certifications will be reviewed to ensure alignment between courses that are included in each program of study. We're going to work to ensure that there's as much flexibility built in as possible, because we know staffing can be challenging in some of the hard to fill program of study areas. Moving forward, we know that school districts will have many questions about how the statewide programs of study will impact their current course sequences as well as accountability. So this slide is intended to provide you with some information to address some of those concerns. So starting off, as mentioned in the previous slide, the CTE concentrator definition defined by Perkins 5 is the completion of 2 courses for at least 2 credits within a program of study. The course sequences will be used to determine if a student is a CTE concentrator based upon the courses that they have completed. So again, as you're rolling out the new programs of study, this is ultimately how the concentrators will be determined. Perkins 5 allows for an additional program quality indicator to be developed. There is currently a proposed program quality indicator called a CTE completer, which the definition for a completer would be a student completing 3 or more courses for 4 or more credits, with one of those credits coming from an advanced level course within a program of study. And we are defining an advanced level course as one that's listed as a level 3 or a level 4 course, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the webinar. This quality indicator is intended to report how many students are progressing through the course sequences and completing advanced level coursework, because we know a lot of advanced level coursework will provide students with real-world relevant experiences, work-based learning experiences and also possibly preparing them to pass an industry-based certification exam. We also know that funding is always a huge issue around supporting different courses and programs of study. So the programs of study that we're looking at now, these statewide programs of study could be supported and can be supported by the federal Perkins grant. And so the grant can support both the approved statewide programs of study, but also regionally, regional programs of study that are submitted and approved from school districts. After the public comment period has closed for the statewide programs of study, TEA will release a regional application so that districts can address some areas that you didn't see in the statewide programs of study, but you may have a labor market need or a need in your community to offer a program of study. And so that regional application will come out once the statewide lists are finalized. If a course or a program is not included in either a statewide or regional program of study, those courses are not going away, and you can use state-weighted funding to support those programs of study. So again, we're definitely going to encourage districts to submit regional applications and submit the information to put together different programs of study that meet the needs of school districts. I know another major concern is how fast these changes will need to take place. So on this slide, you can see a timeline, and again, it's designed to help school districts with planning for the implementation of new programs of study. Starting off with this coming school year, 2019-2020, this is going to be a planning year both for the new programs of study, but also Perkins 5. So when it comes to coding CTE concentrators, at the fall snapshot, you're still going to use the old definition of the completion or the intent to complete 2 or more courses for 3 or more credits within a coherent sequence. So again, the same process that you followed in previous years will be the same one that you use this fall. There will be no official monitoring of programs of study during this planning year. Moving into the 2020-2021 school year, this is implementation year number 1 for both Perkins 5 and also the new programs of study. We will start collecting CTE concentrator data through the automatic coding process. However, there will again be no official monitoring of the new programs of study during this year. Moving into implementation year number 2, again, we're going to automatically collect CTE concentrator data. No official monitoring of programs of study will take place either. So you have a couple of years here. You have a planning year in 2 years in order to make the adjustments needed to become in alignment with the new programs of study. Implementation year number 3 is the first year that we will start to look at the percentage of students that are concentrating by program within each program of study by school district. So there will be some monitoring here. Again, we're going to use this as a baseline data collection year to see where districts are and to see how districts improve over time within each program of study. And finally, as we move into 23-24 school year, this is the school year where the new programs of study will be fully implemented. We'll continue to collect the concentrator data, but we're also going to start looking at the CTE completer. And again, this is a student that's completing 3 or more courses for 4 or more credits within a program of study. So we're going to use this year to start collecting baseline data for this program quality indicator. So hopefully this timeline gives you an idea about revisions or adjustments that you would need to make to become in alignment with the new programs of study. The next slide, I would like to take you through just some high-level discussion on the methodologies that was used to identify the in-demand and high-wage occupations. So we conducted a process to identify the high-wage in-demand occupations in Texas to ensure alignment between industry and post-secondary education. The process included stakeholders from the Texas Workforce Commission, the Texas Workforce Investment Council, and the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. The course sequencing methodology backwards mapped occupations from job knowledge and skills through post-secondary preparation to secondary education. and triangulated the data sources for the best view of labor projections. During phase 1, we looked at all occupations in Texas and identified foundation occupations that met or exceeded the median growth rate of all occupations in Texas, which was 17%. We also looked at the median annual salary. Again, for all occupations in Texas, that median salary was $35,339. And we wanted to ensure that there were enough opportunities for students to pursue those occupations, so we set a floor of 500 annual openings. Again, each of these were based on data from all occupations in Texas. Occupations that were related to the foundation occupations were identified to form groupings of occupations that were the initial focus of the programs of study. Moving on to phase 2, it involved forming groupings of occupations based on a few different things, based on similarities in detailed work activities, directly or closely related post-secondary training and education programs, or directly or closely related through standard occupational classifications by ONET. These groupings of occupations were compared to the median data of all occupations in Texas. So moving into the career cluster areas, as you review the proposed programs of study, you will see some changes to the 16 career clusters. We combined some clusters together because we noticed overlap between occupations and post-secondary training. Those career clusters where you're going to see some overlap, we combined business, marketing, and finance together, as well as law, public safety, corrections, and security with government and public administration. The STEM career cluster was found to align to multiple industry sectors. Many of the proposed course sequences as written would not meet a STEM endorsement. However, there are strong math, science, engineering, design teaks embedded in these sequences. We are soliciting feedback from you on recommendations that we may take to the State Board of Education to determine if these courses should be added to the STEM endorsement. Such areas could include health science and information technology. You will also see a new career cluster that's being proposed, and this career cluster is energy. We thought that it was important to add this new energy cluster in order to address the labor market needs in this area. On this slide, you can see a visual representation of some of the changes made to the career clusters. You can see in blue, there were no changes to these clusters. The clusters in orange were the ones that we combined together. You see the new energy cluster in green, and finally we listed the STEM cluster in yellow to note that we are embedding these courses throughout multiple career cluster areas. During public comment, we hope to collect stakeholder feedback to use when making recommendations to the State Board of Education. We made efforts to ensure that the proposed programs of study are aligned to the endorsements where possible, but we also included some ideas that would need State Board of Education approval in order to implement. Some of these ideas we heard from stakeholders as we completed the listening tour, as we traveled to 17 different education service centers this past spring. On this slide, you can see a handful of the things that we'd like you to consider, to include the creation of an energy cluster, allowing STEM-focused programs of study to count for the STEM endorsement, and innovative courses to count as the final course in a sequence. So now I'd like to go over some of the resources that you'll see on the CTE webpage for the public comment period. On the right-hand side of this slide, you can see a screenshot of the public comment page. You'll also see circled in red 2 important documents that'll be used in the public comment process. So the first document is the overview document of the Programs of Study Initiative. The document provides a summary of the initiative, the methodology used when identifying occupations to include in programs of study, and additional details about the career clusters. So this document is definitely one of the first document you should read to gather a good understanding of the initiative. The second file is also very important, which is an Excel spreadsheet. titled Statewide Programs of Study at a Glance Spreadsheet. This spreadsheet shows proposed course sequences for each program of study organized by career cluster. This spreadsheet is very useful for a quick look at each sequence. Once you open that spreadsheet, you'll see the different programs of study with the sequences. I provided you with an example on this slide of the animal science program of study. So here you can see recommendations for endorsement. We also included STEM at the bottom as a possible consideration for including this particular program of study for the STEM endorsement. You also see courses organized by levels 1 through level 4. I'd like for you to think back to the definition of a CTE concentrator for Perkins 5, and that is the completion of 2 courses for at least 2 credits within a program of study. So as you're thinking about how you'll implement programs of study in your district, a student could get the concentrator status by completing the level 1 principles course and then completing the 2 half-credit courses that you see listed in level 2. If a district did not offer the courses listed in level 2, there's flexibility that the student could earn concentrator status by completing the level 1 course and the level 3 course listed in this example. And again, that would meet the definition of a concentrator. In terms of the definition of a completer, 3 or more courses for 4 or more credits, including 1 advanced level course. Again, a district would have flexibility between grade levels. However, they would need to complete at least one course or 1 credit from level 3 or level 4 courses listed on the spreadsheet. So again, there's flexibility exists here, and the business rules that we're going to use to automatically code students are going to go back to the definition of a concentrator and a definition of a completer. As you move on to this slide, and as we scroll down the website, you can see a screen grab of the next section of the public comment document. So you'll see the statewide programs of study resources. So where we provided you with a high-level look through the spreadsheet, these PDFs are going to give you a deeper dive into each program of study. So you can click on each career cluster PDF to find out more information. And so you'll start off by seeing a cover page that'll list the titles of all the programs of study, and then you're going to go and actually dive deep into each program of study. And so the image that you see on this slide will be the top portion of the one-page resource that you'll see as you go through each PDF. And so again, you'll see the career cluster, the program of study title, the courses that are included by level in each program of study. And again, there's flexibility between levels of when you can offer courses. So it's completely flexible. I always like for you to go back to the definitions of the concentrator when making your own decisions about when to offer courses. As we move down the one-page resource, you'll see information or recommendations about post-secondary options. You'll also see the information about the occupations included in each program of study to include the wage, growth, and annual openings. So I think this is very important for students and administrators to see what opportunities students are working toward if they take this program of study. At the bottom of the front page, you'll see an overview of the program of study. You'll see the career cluster definition and then information about the endorsements. On the back side, you'll see additional information that should help with scheduling. You'll see the service IDs for each course, the recommended grade level, and information about prerequisites. And so again, it's a way that you can look at each program of study in detail. As you move to the bottom of the CTE webpage for the public comment documents, you'll see some additional pieces of information. The next file you'll see is the program of study course alignment document. This course document provides information about innovative courses that are recommended, as well as current CTE courses that are not included in a statewide program of study. So not all CTE courses will be included in the proposed programs of study. Some courses are recommended as possible regional programs of study. As we looked at the statewide labor market data, some occupations did not meet the criteria as across the entire state of Texas. However, we recognize the fact that some regions will have strong labor market data to support certain CTE courses or CTE programs of study. And so we encourage districts to submit a regional application for a program of study so that it can better meet the needs of your local labor market and your school district. Again, that regional application will be released once the statewide programs of study have been finalized. So we encourage districts to participate in that process as well. As you move down, you'll again be able to click on a link that'll take you to example regional programs of study and the one-page resources associated with those. Again, we are going to, once the public comment process has completed on July the 19th, we'll look at making revisions and try to get the final statewide programs of study approved as quickly as possible. The final piece of the public comment webpage will be the location where you can provide feedback to us. So you'll see a link, public comment electronic form link, and it will take you to a form where you can select a cluster and a program of study you would like to provide comment on. You also have the opportunity to upload a file if you would like to include additional information for the CTE team here at TEA to consider. But this is the main way that we plan to collect information from all CTE stakeholders on the proposed programs of study. So I encourage that you follow the process here and provide your input through this electronic form. On this slide, you can see a timeline for programs of study. So again, we're working through the public comment period. After that concludes, after July 19th, we're going to take into consideration all input that we've received and make revisions to the programs of study and then seek final approval. Again, next year is going to be a planning year, and there will also be regional trainings that are provided to help support districts in this transition. And finally, full implementation will take place in August of 2020. Again, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen to the webinar. I hope that you found the information to be useful. And I know that change is not always easy. Sometimes it's challenging, but I think these programs of study are really going to do great things for the students of Texas and help take Texas career and technical education to the next level. If you have additional questions for me, please feel free to either email me or give me a phone call. My contact information is on this slide. Again, please feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you have. Again, thanks for listening.